Hey everybody, I'm Daniel from Transylvania Ultimate Frisbee. We call ourselves TUF for short, and I just want to take a couple minutes to explain to you how TUF got started, how we started doing Ultimate Frisbee in our city here in Brasov, Romania, and what our values are, and then what we see for the club in the future, where we're headed and what our dreams are. So I'll just tell you a little bit about that. For me, I moved to Romania from the USA. I grew up in Colorado, and I moved here in 2013. And when I came to Romania, I brought a Frisbee with me because I used to play back in the States and I love the sport, but I didn't know that there was any Ultimate Frisbee in Romania. I didn't know if that even existed here. And when I started to talk to people about it here in our city, everybody was like, Frisbee, isn't that something for dogs? You throw it and the dog gets it. They didn't know that it was actually more than just a sport where you can, people either thought you throw it on the beach or you throw it with your dog, and that's about it. So I brought the sport into our city, and I just started to play with neighbors and friends and kind of introduce people to the sport for fun. Eventually we started playing on Sunday nights and just trying to gather a small group of people together to play indoors. And we would really struggle. I remember those first years struggling to even get 10 people who would be interested in coming to play Ultimate Frisbee, but it began to grow a little bit by little bit, and people began to see the value in the sport, see the fun behind it, and began to fall in love with what Ultimate Frisbee was.
So I first heard about Ultimate Frisbee, I think in maybe 2016. Friend of mine, fellow American friend of mine here in Brasov, Daniel Ekins, had kept inviting me to come play Frisbee on Sunday nights, and I thought that sounded a little bit silly. I didn't know how you could play Frisbee as a team. I thought Frisbee was something that you just kind of threw a Frisbee to a dog or something. So I wasn't really interested in it. I kept telling him no, And then just one Sunday night, didn't really have anything else to do. I was like, okay, let me just go check it out, see what's going on with this game of Frisbee. And after that very first game, I've been hooked ever since. I had no idea what Ultimate was. I had never heard of it. And it has quickly become my favorite sport. It's given me an opportunity to stay active as I get a little bit older. And then one of the most amazing parts about being part of an Ultimate Frisbee club and playing Ultimate is that my two sons have actually started to play, and I get to play with them as well.
And then in 2016, things kind of took another step to another level when Pablo moved here. So Pablo and I had been playing back in the States. We actually went to the same college, and so we played together way back then. And so we both loved Frisbee as well and had played it together. And so when he moved here, he began to come and join us on Sunday nights and play with us. And he also started teaching at an international school.
And it wasn't until maybe a couple of years later when one of the directors from a school here started also coming to Sunday nights, and he had asked me, hey, what do you think about introducing this to some of the kids at the school? And for a second I thought about it, and I was just like, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to commit to anything. So he kind of just passed the idea off to one of the teachers there that was teaching physical education. And she did a very good job for the first year, and then the interest within kids grew, and I think it was just maybe a little too much. So again, the director asked me, hey, why don't you try to help grow this thing? And so yeah, it was just a separate community between the Sunday night crew and the school crew, and it came to the point where we actually had about 30 kids just interested and wanted to form teams, and that's where kind of like everything just began.
There was this fire that got started amongst the high schoolers and the middle schoolers over there around Frisbee, and so Pablo would go and he would play Frisbee with them, and then sometimes the two worlds would collide, where some of the young people would come and play with us on Sunday nights or things like that. But Pablo was able to develop the sport there with the young people so much that they even formed a few teams and were able to do their first little mini tournament here in our city with a few different teams.
We hosted a tournament for the high school students, and we had about, like I said, 30 kids, so we made about 4 teams, maybe 5 teams that we had, and then just played it amongst each other. And we had a little championship, and it was pretty fun. But once that tournament was over, they kind of felt hungry for more. And it was kind of the same idea with Sunday Night Crew. We just used to always scrimmage against each other constantly. And so there were also on Sunday nights hungry for more competition, but we didn't really know if there were other communities in Romania that played Ultimate. And it wasn't until one practice on Sunday night after the tournament and after a couple of weeks or so, where I went on Facebook and I was going through the news feed, and this post about Ultimate Frisbee tournament in Bucharest was being hosted that year. And I just remember just freaking out, because for the longest time we were talking about participating in one, but not even knowing if there were any communities in Romania. And sure enough, once I click on that post, there were maybe like 4 or 5 teams from Romania, a couple from Bulgaria coming, and one from Moldova. And so I just called Dan and said, hey, I think we found our answer. I think we can take a team from Brasov, make a team in Brasov, and go compete as well in this tournament. What do you think? And he's like, well, yeah, let's go for it. And I was just like, we probably need another guy to help us out, lead this thing. And instantly it was just a quick answer, just like, okay, Jason is the guy.
I guess it was about March of 2019 that Pablo messaged me or talking one Sunday night and said he had discovered that there were actually other Ultimate Frisbee clubs in Romania, and that there was actually going to be an Ultimate Frisbee tournament in Bucharest in May of 2019. We had a pretty large group of adults and kids playing Ultimate here in Brasov. So Pablo reached out to the organizers of the tournament in Bucharest, and we actually signed up to take 2 teams to this tournament in Bucharest, an adult team and then a U17 team. So that was kind of the official start. That tournament marked the official start of TUF as an actual Ultimate Frisbee club.
By the time 2019 came, we had over 100 people playing weekly. We had a bunch of different levels. We had little kids come into play. We had a girls team playing. We had a team for adults. We had a team for youth. We had a team for beginners, where people could just come and they'd never thrown a Frisbee before in their life, and they could just come and we can teach them a little bit about the sport and put the passion of Ultimate Frisbee into their hearts. And so we had all these people coming weekly. And so that's really where TUF started, was just, you know, from a casual thing back in 2013 to a thing in school where Pablo was teaching in 2016 to 2019, where it really all came together, and we just said, okay, let's form a club, let's form a team. And so 2019 was really the year that just sparked it all off, and we started officially the club. Of course, then the pandemic hit, and that set us back because there were restrictions for a while. We couldn't play for a while. Some people were not able to come for a long time. But to this day, we have multiple teams in Brasov. We have a lot of people that are coming, that are becoming more and more passionate about Ultimate Frisbee, and the level continues to raise and raise and raise. And I would say that our relationship with the other clubs in Romania and in Bulgaria and in other parts of Eastern Europe are really developing and growing. And we just love to see that the sport of Ultimate Frisbee is really catching on, both here in our city and in the rest of this part of the world.
That might be a good start. What do you think? 2 points? We are TUF!
What should our strategy be? What do we do? What should our plan be?
Sure. 1 and 2. 3's kind of covering the middle.
That means this is being forced this way, and these people need to be...
So yeah, once we decided to make a team, we got together, we met, and we said we have to have some sort of values that allows us to abide by as a community, wherever we go, we represent not just TUF, but also our city, Brasov. And so we just met together and we came up with 5 things that came down as a catchphrase, and it's when you look at it, it actually spells out catch, which has to do also with ultimate frisbee. And Daniel did a good job at breaking it down and providing some values for us.
So the first one is character. So C is for character. Character means that we want to develop in people who play ultimate frisbee with our club the character that it takes to both compete on a national level, on an international level, but to do so with character.
When you win with humility. You don't showboat, you don't rub it in your opponent's face. And when you lose with dignity. And you celebrate the other team's achievements. You congratulate them on amazing plays, you congratulate them on their win, and you realize that at the end of the day, we're all a at-large community of ultimate players, and we're playing this for the love of the game.
A in the word catch stands for activity. Activity means that we really believe in sport. We, as founders of TUF, want to implement that passion for sport, for movement, for physical fitness, for health, in everything that we do. And so that's why we love ultimate frisbee. It's an active sport where
it could be played year-round, so it's a fun sport that anybody can try and participate.
So the T in catch stands for teamwork.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. In fact, it's one of the greatest team sports in the world, in my opinion, because unlike some other team sports, with ultimate frisbee, it's actually impossible to score on your own.
There's rules in place that prevent that. You must use your teammates, you must play as a team, otherwise you can't win. And so by having that as part of our core values, we really emphasize when we play to involve everyone. Whether you're a beginner or you're advanced, or you think you're advanced, or you think you're a beginner, we don't care. We play as a team, we treat everybody with respect as a team, and we really try to involve everybody on the field in our plays and try not to exclude anybody.
And it provides an opportunity for us to be able to teach not just kids but also adults. Like, this is an aspect of life. We have to learn to live with each other, with our neighbors, with our co-workers, with people down the street. And so it's a great opportunity to teach about how teamwork is very important in our life, not just, like I said, on the field, but off the field.
So the second C in the word catch stands for community. And this aspect of our TUF Values has actually really been a benefit to a lot of people in our community over the past 2 years. Obviously in the middle of a global pandemic, we actually had a lockdown for several months. We weren't able to play. But as a community, we were really here for each other, encouraging each other. We had people over these past couple of years, some people get sick, some people move, some people have had new babies, and there's always people there to help out when others are in need. And this is something that we really stress a lot when it comes to Transylvania Ultimate Frisbee is yes, we're here to compete, we're here to win, we're here to play a sport. We want to get into competitions and win tournaments, but at the end of the day, we all recognize each other as part of a community, and even to a greater extent as part of a family. So we are here for each other through thick and thin, good times and bad times, and that's a really special part of being a part of the TUF community.
And then the last thing is H. The H in catch is our last core value, and that's the value of honor. We really believe that honoring is such a big part of this sport. In ultimate frisbee terms, this is something called spirit of the game. And so this is one thing that we really, really love about ultimate frisbee, is that there's this concept of spirit of the game. In fact, in every major tournament that we go to, and even in the friendly games that we play or the league games that we play, at the end of the game, the two teams gather together in a circle, and they talk about what's called the spirit of the game. And basically that means that how did the teams play with honoring each other? Did they know the rules? Did they respect the rules? In Ultimate Frisbee, there are no referees, and so every person is responsible to know the rules and respect the rules. And if there's an altercation, if there's a foul, if there's an infraction of the rules, then the two people who are involved are there to talk to each other. That's meant to be done in a respectful manner, right? They talk to each other, they come to an agreement about, okay, here's what went wrong, here's what I saw, here's what I saw. They come to a respectful agreement and the game continues. And so it's a really beautiful aspect of the game. The Bible talks a lot about honoring each other. It talks about honoring God and honoring those around you. When Jesus was asked what the greatest commandments are, he said, the greatest commandments are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And so that's all about honor, that we honor God, that we honor each other. And so those are the kind of principles that we want to bring into Ultimate Frisbee, that everything that we do is meant to be done in a way that honors. And so those are our C.A.T.C.H values. So we have character, activity, teamwork, community, and honor. And those are the C.A.T.C.H values of TUF.
So TUF, Transylvania Ultimate Frisbee, has quickly grown over the past 2 years since that first tournament in May of 2019 in Bucharest, when we kind of officially became an Ultimate Frisbee club.
At the moment, we have about 3 teams that compete regularly indoors, and we are also growing a girls team that will be competing as well pretty soon. And just the growth that has come from this is amazing. The response from the community, it's incredible.
There's a lot of things that we're excited about. There's a lot of things that we're dreaming about. I think the biggest thing is that we want to continue to develop these relationships that we have with other teams in Romania, other sports organizations. There are quite a few of them and more coming onto the scene, which is amazing to see. And then develop within relationships with those other countries around us, teams from Bulgaria, teams from Republic of Moldova, Serbia, those kind of things. And then within the international community in Greater Europe. And so to be able to go and travel to play in more international tournaments, to be able to send players from our club to the Romanian national team when the Romanian national team has a chance to participate in international tournaments. And then from our club to be able to send teams to tournaments to gain those experience. There's a lot of opportunity for indoor tournaments, for outdoor tournaments, different kind of activities and things like that. And so we want to be able to send teams that can competitively compete in those contexts. And then in our home turf here, we just want to continue to see the sport grow. We want people to be telling their friends and their neighbors to visit, to come watch. Even if people don't want to play, that people would come and enjoy coming to watch the games and be part of what Ultimate Frisbee is in Brasov here for Transylvania Ultimate Frisbee. And so we want a passion for Ultimate to grow, and that young people, all the way from kids to adults to beginners to any level, would have a passion for this incredible game of Ultimate Frisbee.
When I say we are, you say tough.